our first step we said last time was if it's not solved for y, we've got to do that. Remember, all that really means is make sure it's in y equals mx plus b form before you get started. Because we got to be able to see the b and our slope in order to be able to actually graph it in the first place. Okay, then we have to decide if when we connect our points, we're going to connect them with a solid line or a dotted line. Okay, we figure that out by looking at the inequality. If it has the equal to sign with it, like either of these, then we use a solid line. If it doesn't have the equal to sign, like either of those, you connect your points with a dotted line, right? And then lastly, to decide if you're going to shade above or below your line, you look at your inequalities here. If it's a less than or equal to, shade below. But if it's greater than or equal to, we're going to shade above. Okay, so make sure you look at your inequalities before you get started. Okay, so looking at number 1, is this one solved for y? Is it in y equals mx plus b form? No, so we're going to need to do some rearranging here. So I want to make y be all by itself on the left side. So what should we move first? Minus 3x. Okay, so then I would have 2y is greater than negative 3x plus 6. Yes, and we need to divide by 2. So we end up with y is greater than, can I actually divide negative 3 by 2? No. So I'm going to leave it as that fraction, 3 over 2x, plus, what's 6 divided by 2? Very good. Okay, and now we have it set up so that we can actually graph it. So remember, this number right here tells us where to start, right? You need to find yourself a pencil and start writing. If you don't have one, come get one. So it starts at positive 3, and that negative 3 over 2 tells me how much up and over or down and over to go. Right. So I'm going to plot those points. Okay. So then we have to look at our inequality and decide, does this mean that I'm going to use a dotted or a solid line? Right. There's no equal to sign with it, so I'm going to connect my points using a dotted line. Okay, and my equation said y is greater than, so where are we shading? Right. So everything above the line. Okay. Same idea on number 2. Is that one in y equals mx plus b form? So we're going to have to do some rearranging. What should we move first? Okay, so it's a positive x, so to move it we would have to subtract. So those would go away, and then we'd have negative 3y is greater than or equal to negative x minus 6. Can't put them together because one's variable and one's not. Right. Okay, so here's where we have to be careful. If you guys remember back when we first started talking about inequalities and solving them, we said that anytime you divide by a negative or multiply by a negative on both sides of your equations, what do we have to do to our inequality? Flip the direction, right? So because I divided by a negative 3, I'm going to have y is less than or equal to. You got to flip this right here. Okay? Can we actually divide negative x by negative 3? No. But we can say we know that that's basically like having a negative 1 there, right? And a negative divided by a negative will become a, so we can say that this is positive 1/3 x. And what is negative 6 divided by negative 3? Very good. Okay, so now we can draw this. So where are we going to start? At the 2. This number right here always tells us where to start. Okay, and then that fraction tells us we're going to go where for each point. Good. All right, this time, dotted or solid lines. All right, it has the equal to sign with it. And it said once we flipped it that y was less than or equal to, so we're going to shade good. Okay, number 3. So this one is kind of like what we were talking about in our last unit. It has y is greater than a number, but there's no x, right? So remember we had vertical lines we were drawing and horizontal lines we were drawing. Those were the ones that were just a y and an x. Okay, so number 3 says we need to be where y is greater than 3. So first I just go to where y is 3, right? And that would be right here. Well, if I go up, am I still at 3? If I go down, am I still at 3? What if I come over here? Am I still at y is 3? Yeah, if I come over here, am I still at y is 3? So this must be the horizontal line, right? Okay, but before we draw the line, is it going to be dotted or solid? Dotted. I got my dotted horizontal line here. And it said we want to be where y is greater than. So where are we shading? Good. And if y and a number was our horizontal line, we probably already remember that x is going to be our vertical, right? So I just need to go to where x is -4. Remember, x is on this axis, so I need to move to the left 4 places. Okay? And our inequality was less than or equal to, so are we going to have a dotted or solid line? And it said to shade where x is less than. So it's kind of weird when it's straight up and down. There's not necessarily above and below. So the left side is where things are less than, right? Where things are smaller is to the left. So we're going to shade over here. All right. Okay, just a couple more examples on the back. So number 5 says, which of the following points would be a solution to this inequality? Well, in order to find out, we're going to have to graph it. So we got to do some rearranging, right? What should we move? What do we want over there on the left side? The y, right? We want the y over there on that left side. So how would I move a negative y? Add it. Okay, so that would go away, and we would have y minus 2, since we can't actually put those together, is less than 3x. And what do we still need to move? 2. Good. Okay. We can't actually combine 3x and plus 2, because one has an x and one doesn't. So y is less than 3x plus 2. All right, so where does this one start at? Good. I'm going to go up there to positive 2, and then that 3 tells us we're going to go 3 and over 1. Very good. Okay, we're going to have a dotted or a solid line. Okay. Okay, and it said where y is less than, so we shade
on the left.
below. So that would be over here, right? So since it slants this way, below would be under here. Okay. If it slanted the other way, below would have been on the left. Okay, so now I'm just supposed to pick which one of these answer choices is part of our solution. Well, our solution is all of the shaded part. Okay, so we're looking for which one of these falls in our shaded. So first is -2, 0. Well, is that point in our shaded region? No, so it can't be that one. Then we got 4, 8. Yeah, it looks like it's going to fall in there, right? -6, -2 would be somewhere over here, right? And that's not in there. 8, 3. Okay, so that one looks like it might work. And then E says 1, 5. No, right? It's right outside of the shaded region. So both answer choices B and D fall in our shaded region, so we would use both of them. All right. Last one. So this one's kind of backwards. They gave us the picture. They want us to come up with the equation. Okay. So, it's going to start out with y, right? Okay, where was this thing shaded? Above or below? Above. So I want y is greater than or equal to, right? Because it's a solid line. Okay, now I just have to figure out the equation part. So first thing I'm going to do is look at where did this thing start on the y-axis? 4, right? So this thing must have a +4 on the end. Okay, then I just need to count how far up and over do you have to go to get from one point to the next. So you just find another point. Up to over what? Good. And we are going in that positive direction, so we don't have to make it negative. There we go.